All right, potentially the last game of the series. We have Tuna. Seen it many times before. Sham 2. Scam 2? Am 2. I don't know. He's a Terran though. And then on the other side, Sojourn and Doc Coaster. The Zerg Protest duo. And two highest ranked people on our team. So theoretically, you know, they should win. Because they did beat Tuna. Sojourn did beat him. And, oh, instantly, we have something fetching weird happening. Why is this barracks here? Because he started a wall off and decided against it. The reason for this is unknown. And will probably never be known. Refinery, though, so 9 out of 10 times means that we're going to get a Reaper. Or a weird reactor thing? I don't know. It's going to be a Reaper. Tuna doing a standard 16 expand, draw up to 18, and then get Extractor and Pool. Extractor's actually a little... He's not getting the pools, even though he has the money for it. Okay, Pool's a little late there, which is unusual, especially from someone this good. That'll delay any defense potentially, but considering that the boys from UVU are not necessarily doing anything super aggressive, should be fine. Gate, double gate in Cyber before expand. 2 assimilators, so probably just double adept, which should be pretty good against this. It actually is a reactor, so I lied. Also, that's hilarious. There's an SCV idle in there. I'm glad that somebody pinged that. Probably should have just been killed because it takes 2 seconds, but it doesn't really matter too much. Queens for lings, queens for lings. Ooh, actually, is he skipping the lings? He is skipping the lings. I kind of like this. But this is actually adepts into Stargate. But he is getting that pylon in the low ground, so chances are not an all-in kind of weird thing like we saw last game. Forlings moving out. Not going to intend on doing anything, just going to poke and prod. A defensive spine crawler, which is a little unusual. I mean, it's true that this is a really big ramp and kind of hard to defend. I don't really think this is necessary. The lings don't even end up moving out. And Tuna goes up to 3 bases. So maybe a bit of a waste. If we look at their vision, I guess they don't really know anything. So they did see the reactor, but if we look at what he's doing, he's just building Hellions off of it. Yeah, I guess this makes more sense. For some reason, I was just assuming that he was going to be double marine production before second base, which is kind of weird. I guess doable too. I'm not a Terran player. Who am I to say? Should be fine. But they do see the one Hellion now. They have Adepts, which are okay against Hellions. Hellions are okay against them. They trade more or less equally. Some Zerglings coming to join, but with 2 Queens, a Spine Crawler, these... Oh, and especially the Oracle, which will actually slaughter everything. Should be just fine. I love that Zerglings are following the Hellion. Oracle flies right over top, sees everything, and wisely chooses to go for the higher value targets. These Zerglings decide to run in. Anyways, they actually yeah, they're going to be able to stop this 3rd base from going down, which isn't that big of a deal. Send 3 up just to scout, but he should be able to send that Zergling back out. No biggie. The Oracle comes home when it sees additional lings being added on. Tuna is actually droning now, though, so definitely not an all-in. If we look at the worker count, it does favor UVU, but with the 3 bases, it could definitely equalize pretty quickly. Although it is a little just sad to see that these 2 players' second bases are just now finishing up. 1 league chewing away, others coming to help, but Sojourn's got enough links to at least delay, and then the Adepts come in and they'll definitely be able to hold. Look at the vision, and it looks like got a couple Oracles doing some damage, but hasn't quite seen that 3rd base from Tuna. Some things just chilling in the front. with some Zerglings coming out. We actually look at the count, 22 to 26. Tuna does have slightly more, so this shouldn't do a whole lot, but might be able to pick up the queen. Oh, especially with banelings coming in, this is not great. Bit of a surround, so that's good. He probably shouldn't be engaging here, but nothing too terrible. Actually, has lost more lings in total than Sojourn. So, all in all, fine. Worker count still favoring UVU. So, while there's been some poking and prodding, Oracle's getting 4 kills over here. It's nothing too major. Viking gonna kill off this, which is going to be kind of a bummer, but not supply block him. Sojourn's actually going for a Spire, which I like. It's definitely going to be Mutalisks, because there's really no point in getting Corruptors at this point in the game, obviously. Zergling manages to get Orca kill, which is nice, but all in all, not too big a deal. That was the shortest shade I think I've ever seen. It was cool. These Zerglings are going to come right and hit this base, but with the number of Adepts here and the fact that there are some banelings close by, shouldn't be able to get the base, but these lings are definitely going to go down. Sojourn taking a slightly more aggressive 4th base at 645, and unfortunately it was seen, so... Oh, no! It wasn't seen! Never mind. They just barely missed it. Meantime, it looks like Tuna's going to be taking his 4th, whilst Am2 is going to stay on 2 bases for a little longer. Yeah, definitely should have more than 35 workers at this point. I get that there was a little more aggression going on maybe in the beginning with the Hellions, but it really wasn't that committed, and it doesn't justify this lack of worker count here. Adept being able to spot this mech body moving up. A lot of Marauders mixed in, actually. Does he have any Marines? He does have 2 Marines on the entire map, which is kind of interesting. It's like this weird... Just a weird mech. I don't even know what to call this. Just unusual. I don't see it very often. 2 Oracles, still being kept alive, getting a couple of good reveals off. The important thing with Oracles is not just to do damage, but just keep them alive for the spellcasting functionality later. Which he is doing a spectacular job of. Sojourn already on 73 workers, almost double the Red Terran. So, definitely love to see that. He's doing what he did last game, except for he's not being 4-gated, so perfect. Oracle is just constantly moving around, checking out how things are going. Gonna lose 1, gonna lose 2 most likely here. Bit unfortunate, but he did see the composition for Tuna is going towards Hydraling Bane. And he's even getting that Hive, so he should have those Lurker upgrades here pretty soon. In the meantime, a lot of Zealots for Dot Coaster, who we really haven't talked about much at all. Some High Templar. He does have Storm. We're most likely going to see just a couple of Colossi or Disruptors. But an engagement goes down. Siege Tank up in the front gets caught out. The Zergling's able to do some damage, but with the other tank sieged up, as well as those Lurkers showing up, shouldn't be able to do too much. Some good damage being done. Good storms. Ooh, really good storm, actually. Walks straight back into it. Gets hit for the full duration. But this Lurker is very low health, and he should use these medevacs to heal it up specifically, because that's a very valuable target. Mutalisks gonna go for a bit of a flank, see what they can see. Lurkers moving forward onto creep, a little dangerous, especially with this number of Mutalisks. Does pick off the tank, very good overall. Robotics Bay going down in the back, so like I said, Colossi or Disruptors. Disruptors are good against these Lurkers, however you just gotta remember that their range is only just barely longer. Oh, but those Lurkers actually getting a lot of kills, 16, 17, 17. Very effective, but now these Mutalisks are able to pick 1 or 2 of them off for practically free due to the low Marine count. Thankfully, he is adding on more. But right now, looks like these units are just going to get cleaned up by storms, which do damage your own units. Good to know. These mutalisks are very susceptible to them. But there's only a couple Hydra here, so he can do a little bit of damage if he wants with these mutas, but chooses to pull back before the Hydras come out. This base has been finished for Sojourn, so he can transfer all of his drones, which, as you can see, he either has or lost all of them. He hasn't lost that many. He lost 4. He must transfer them to a different base, potentially this one right here. But still at a good count. As long as they hold here, their economy is definitely better. And it looks like they are, in fact, going to do that. Taking out those lurkers, picking off a couple of Hydras in the back, and especially those medevacs. That's a really big deal, because that means those medevacs will not be accruing energy, not be able to do their job. And with no medevac support here, it's a little bit difficult. 14 Hydras are in production, so there may be a timer to how much they can do, but all of these Terran units are just being rallied in one by one by one. Base goes down, making things equal. Although it looks like a lot more workers are going to be taken out here. Tuna has lost 21 workers here, and he's dropped down to 50, while 69 is the number of workers for both of our UVU teammates. Does have this base, of course, but unfortunately doesn't have the drones for it. Most likely can transfer some from another base. Actually, no, he's perfectly saturated on them all. So just all new drones will end up going there. This base has finished, but hasn't even converted to an orbital. So a little bit problematic. But in the meantime here, just dealing with a little bit of run-bys over here. It's a cannon here, a whole bunch of lings. And not too much going on. Most likely Dock, Coaster, and Sojourn planning on just maxing out. Defending against any run-bys like this. And then after which, hitting them with 200 army, 200 supply armies. Looking at the upgrades right now, we've got +2 upgrades for about everybody. Tuna's slightly behind with that +1 armor, but not too big of a deal. There's even a +1 air weapons for Sojourn here, and 3-3 is about finished. So with 4 Ultralisks being added, you usually want 4 to 6 Ultralisks in an army. This is going to be pretty scary. Lurkers tend to struggle just a little bit unless they have something keeping those ultras off of them, just because they're so tanky, and these lurkers rely a lot on splash damage. Although do remember they do bonus damage to armored, so it is still nothing to be sneezed at from an Ultralisk's perspective. And with these infestors too, I really like that. I would like to also see some Vipers for those blinding clouds. Yet 3 more ultras being added on here. Actually 4, so a little more, but considering how wide this map is, maybe nothing wrong with that. It's Colossi starting to join the party. And generally just still going towards those 200 armies. If we look actually at the production tab, there are no workers being made for Tuna and Am2. So what they're doing now is mostly just focus on keeping that army to stay alive. So that means that Dot Coaster and Sojourn are doing what's right, which is to say nothing. Gonna start getting some free damage, kills a couple of those lings, and it is now aware, but as you can see, they're already positioned. Sojourn gonna put all of his units in choke. That was a bit of a mistake. He's probably gonna lose 5-7 drones for this, but these lurkers actually have nothing on top of them. They can just walk at him. They choose to sack the base instead. That's a interesting decision. But in the meantime, we got all the Zerg units wrapping around. Oh, and these ultras are gonna shred through. The tanks are at the front and get taken out. We'll see if there's good fungals here. Great fungal hitting most of their units. Those ultras coming in and doing splash damage to those Kaiser Blades. One to note, the entire army of Dot Coaster did not participate in this, so all the damage that's done, they still have quite a few. This ultra deciding he's just going to turn and fight, because death is inevitable and it comes to us all. Adrenal glands a little bit late actually for Tuna here. Oh, but the DTs, as there is detection here, he's going to be taken out, but this is quite funny to see. It's the Warp Prison doing this much damage. You love to see it, you really do. And with the army mostly pulled back, these lurkers are exposed, and I would love to see them go hit it. Like, this army doesn't take a whole lot of damage from lurkers. These immortals and archons are very, very tanky and don't take bonus damage. Or at least the immortals don't to their shields. So they could theoretically just wipe out the entire gas-heavy part of this army. But it looks like it's not going to happen. But these adrenal glandlings are going to shred this hatchery. And boop, it's gone. And wisely pulls them away from these banelings. Lurkers moving ahead. Again, no support for this one, which they see should cancel this base, and he does. But Doc Coaster, spending his money, so he's not AFK. We see him selecting his units now, but just hasn't really done a whole lot. But we do see the carrier transition now, and surprisingly, things that cannot shoot up, very bad against carriers. And this amount of Hydra is just simply not enough. But he's moving in. Those carriers are now able to do damage. The Hydras are here. Good binding clouds. Abducts happening. Probably a little superfluous, but it doesn't matter so much. Kill him. There we go. And there goes an absurd amount of gas. He does manage to save like 6 of them. But he's just going to walk up those blinding clouds, reducing them to melee range effectively. And they just straight up get slaughtered. A lot of Corruptors here too, actually, anticipating an air switch, which never came, but doesn't matter. They are going to be supporting these carriers and doing a serious amount of damage, and the GG comes out. So now it is 3-3 between UVU and the Amazon team, Amazon Painforest. And we will be going to the last match. Quite cool, actually, to see games this close.